Where have you all been? Cheers, Rudy. Well, a kindergarten teacher is speaking out after he claims he lost his job due to his physical appearance, which includes tattoos all over his body and having the whites of his eyes surgically turned black. Sylvain Helene said he was extremely disappointed to learn from officials at Dr. Murray Elementary School in Palais-sur, a suburb of Paris, that he would no longer be teaching kindergarten after parents complained that he scared their children. Do you mean like Santa, clowns, the Easter Bunny, and bullies scare children? He said, I think the decision they took was quite sad. Okay, by sad you mean as an employer they reserve the right to do what is best for their institution and put rules in place to protect them from backlash and maybe even litigation. Helene, who was 35, said that there was a complaint last year from the parent of a 3-year-old boy whom he never taught. Come on, man. Do you know how this works? It only takes one complaint to be cancelled nowadays. Helene goes on to say, I am a primary school teacher. I love my job. Elaine was 27 years old when he started getting tattoos. He said at the time he was teaching at a private school in London and was experiencing an existential crisis that inspired him to get inked. Fair enough. Some people go on a sabbatical, some seek help, and others go on adventure. See what I did there? He said, since then, getting tattoos is my passion. And he estimates that he has spent close to 460 hours under the needle. Now, despite his unique appearance, Elaine said he has never had a problem with teaching until his time at Dr. Murray Elementary School. He said, all of my students, except one, and their parents were always cool with me because basically they knew me. It is only when people see me from far away that they can assume the worst. The worst. A spokesperson for the local education authority said they reached an agreement with Elaine that would move him away from teaching kindergarten and noted that students under 6 years old could be frightened by his appearance. Do you mean like could be? That's a massive assumption, you non-binary spokesperson, you. And then another spokesperson for France's Ministry of National Education did not immediately respond to people's request for comment. So here are some of my thoughts and questions. All I want to know is, can he teach the curriculum? What is the difference between a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old? So what you're saying is he can teach first graders and upwards, but he can't teach kindy. So what happens then when the kid who is now in kindy this year progresses to first grade next year and Mr. Elaine is teaching that little kid? Will that mean that the parent of that child will once again complain and Mr. Elaine will no longer be teaching that grade either? I did a story not that long ago where men dressed as women were allowed to be addressing young children. If this world is all about diversity and inclusion, well, I am guessing that Mr. Elaine is either not diverse enough or his mere presence is not included. Teachers come in all shapes, sizes, colours and styles. The majority of teachers are damn fine people, but lurking amongst those teachers are pedophiles, rapists, and just downright horrible people. I would be more concerned about either a male or female teacher who is preying on young children for their gratification than a person who is covered head to toe in ink. I am sure that there would be a lot of children that would be fascinated by Mr. Elaine and his tattoos. Again, I thought we were all about diversity and inclusion, but of course, it only suits the narrative if the person is either a member of the LGBTQ ABCD RSVP mob. Now slow down just a little bit. Back off, G-Man, and everyone, please take a breath. I am sure that Mr. Elaine would have been very much aware that his passion of inking himself may have some consequences, such as being stared at, ridiculed, and maybe even not being able to gainfully be employed merely on his looks. Every employer should have the right to be able to determine whether a person who is seeking employment with their establishment will be able to increase sales and eventually increase their bottom line. But if the person they are hiring or wish to hire scares customers away or traumatize young children, then that employer should be able to write up a code of conduct to ensure that all potential employees meet certain criteria, including facial hair, body piercings, and tattoos. Now, before I read out some of your comments, I would just like to finish off by saying I thought that we were to judge a person on the content of their character and not by the colour of their skin. Renee Moon says, it would be a hard no for my grandson. I have tattoos, and not just a couple, but at my job they are always covered. My personal life and my person are my business. This imposes his beliefs on others, and he is telling them that they have to deal with it. Well, no, they don't. It is the same as a conversation I had 2 weekends ago with someone I've known for quite a while. He came to me in a public setting and said, I feel like that I have to tell you that I'm gay. My response was, why is this my business? At the end of the day, it isn't my business, and I don't care what anyone else does in their room or in their home or with whom they do it. I have never felt the need to share that personal information with anyone. I think this is the same thing. Natalie Guanta says, he would scare the bejesus out of me, and I ain't in kindergarten. Ian McPherson goes on to say, I wouldn't hire him for any job, period. Di McMath says, hashtag freaky hoodie, all right. There's a whole accept people and their individuality thing. But as a kindergarten teacher, seriously, how did he get the job in the beginning? Did they not have a dress standard? And this from Nicole Farmer. Most kids can't cope with strangers or Santa at this age. Why would we expect them to be able to cope or deal with this? Cognitively, emotionally, they aren't ready and don't have the maturity. As a kindergarten teacher, I would have expected him to know a little more about the attachment of young children and as such not be surprised at losing his job. So no, I would not hire him for that role either. However, as an adult, I find his tattoos quite fascinating. The work is amazing. God, it must have hurt though. Then there are these. Di Sid says, was he fired for tattooing his eyeballs black? That can be something that frightens small children. I kind of get why they fired him. Employers do have a right to how professional or suitable someone is for a job. Tattoos alone are much more accepted these days than ever. Many kids' parents are tattooed. Some a little, some a lot. As a heavily tattooed person myself, I accept the consequences of my choice to do so. I knew and know it's not for everyone, and it's not for me to force acceptance by everyone. As a woman, I know I'm judged maybe even more than men, and I'm okay with that. P.S. Editing to add, small children are the least bothered by tattoos, even this many. As they get older and less naive about people in this world, then they may associate them with the person's character. Pasquale Ray says, wow, impressive tattoos, a lot of money spent, and a lot of commitment. Clearly, he is an intelligent guy and has been successfully working with kids, so must have the mindset and attitude for it. Unfortunately, the reality of diversity has bit him in the ass. In life, you can in fact do whatever you want to, but the real challenge is, actions have results and consequences, and it's these that you have to deal with in life. I personally have no tattoos and was disappointed that my son went down the road of tattoos, but it's his life and not my life, and just because I don't like them shouldn't mean he shouldn't. I hired a super nice guy tattooed everywhere up to the face, looped earlobes and face piercings for a customer-facing sandwich bar. Great worker. Initially, there was a bit of negative feedback, but in the end, his attitude and work ethic shone through and became a good team member. And yes, he removed the piercings and taped the lobes. I do think that it is difficult not to pigeonhole and make assumptions, but I also feel that tattoos in certain jobs create difficulties and retard forward motion in a career. So in closing, I want to finish up with this from a good friend of mine. Some of the nicest people you'll meet are covered in tattoos, but not one. One will fucking kill you. Leave your comments. Cheers, Rudy. It's good to be back.